Okay, so what can I say? Something weird crawled out of my mind again, and in this case, quite literally. um, when I draw something like this, and I look at the end product, the end result, sometimes I myself have to wonder how, I even came up with it in the first place. Now, the question where these ideas for strange creatures and my drawings in general come from uh, is quite justified, since even I don't really know where they come from in the first place, like I said, and I honestly don't think it matters that much where the idea comes from, because the end product is not always the result of just a fixed idea in my mind. It's mostly the product of just having a vague idea in my mind, some weird still image, and just starting and seeing where it takes me. And this drawing that I'm doing right here, for example, this drawing is the result, the more refined version of just an idea that was flashing in my mind pretty quickly, and I just sketched it out on some random piece of paper, just loosely sketching it out and expanding on it as I go along. Now, where the exact origin of this image is before I take it onto paper and expand it, again, I don't really know. Many people ask me what I mean to say with these drawings, which is quite funny. Like, what is the meaning of it? What was your thought behind it? What is it doing? Why is it doing that? Why does it look like that? Why does it have this or that? Or, well, and I can't just always say, I don't know. I would love to give some sort of interesting reasoning behind them, like in this video, for example, I talk about the story you could make up about some of these creatures, about some of these drawings that I do, what they are, who made them, where they came from, why they exist, what they do. There are a lot of stories that you can make up about these things, but I like to do that after the fact, when the image has already been created. I bet a lot of artists, especially the writing storyteller type, they have an origin story in mind before they create something visual, if they even create something visual, right? Thinking about authors, for example, like that write fantasy books or science fiction books, something that I could never do. I have my expression is more visual, and I explained all of this in the other video. Again, go watch that if you haven't already. I've always been a visual learner. I always need to make up some sort of image in my mind in order to understand something. I need to see it. I need to see to get it. So I'm more the visual type. By the way, if you are more of a visual type yourself, I'm sure you want to see more of these drawings, some things like that in the future. So yeah, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much. One idea that I had for videos was to write a story about something, about some weird thing, about a character like I'm drawing right here. Making up a story about that, and then telling this story, in some interesting storyteller type vibe sort of thing, while I show you what I'm showing you right here, like the drawing. I think that would be more not engaging, but I think it would be more interesting for the audience than what I'm doing right here, which is just to ramble on about my process, which doesn't really exist. As I said, it's just like something just comes to my mind, some image when I'm bored or something, and I just have to bring it to paper. I'm weird like that, okay? I'm sorry. But I hope that people that also draw a lot or paint or whatever else you can do, like sculpt or carve or splash random paint on a canvas, I don't know. I hope that you can understand it. Like, if you're watching this, if you're one of the 5 people that are actually watching my videos and are actually listening to what I'm saying, I think you can understand what I mean by that. It might not be a real process, like I said. I think you can identify with that. So for the technique, if you want, that I'm using here to draw this, again, it's quite... In this drawing, I was struggling just a little bit with the shading, which is kind of odd because usually shading is just comes naturally to me. I don't really need to think about it. I have a few techniques that I like to use, like the cross hatching is the most, or just basically just scribbling, you know. And sometimes I like to be more, you know, when I have like reflective surfaces, like some metallic stuff or some shiny things, like with this octopus that I drew, the octopi, multiple, plural, I mean, or octopus, I don't know, that I drew in the last video, like making something look shiny, reflective. I can do that. I can create light and shadow quite well. I practiced that actually. It's one of the rare things that I actually practiced my drawing for, which is kind of a rarity. I don't practice that much. I just draw. I just like to create, you know. I have so many things going on. I just want to do things, right? I don't need to become like a real technical artist. I have been practicing for years, and I feel like I'm on a level where, of course, I can improve, and I want to improve, but I want to improve by just doing my art, right? And not just really sitting down and doing some boring study, right? If I do a study, and I sometimes do it, I do it for the sake of having some cool study images, you know, just having some cool drawings that I can just, you know, have for myself, hang up on a wall, post on Instagram, or make a video about whatever. So I do some sketching here on my channel. If you haven't seen that already, go check it out. You just have to scroll through my list of videos that I have. Sometimes I just like to practice my sketching, and yeah, but if I do it with an artistic intention behind it. The intention behind it is artistic, not autistic. That could also be the case with me when I talk about these images flashing in my mind, which is not quite how autism works, is it? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just a welder in reality, or like a machinist if I want to be precise. And of course, a Minecraft player. That's where the autism comes back into play, right? No. So yeah, I forgot what I wanted to say. However, this voiceover is going on too long anyways. But I don't mind. These are my videos. I can just do whatever I want, and I'm like a messy person. I'm messy overall. Not necessarily with my looks, but I mean like with my life in general. Like things are all over the place. I always struggle to find like a general direction where my life, into which my life should be going. My room is messy. You know, I need some Jordan Peterson telling me, clean your room for God's sake. Right, gotta have a clean room to have a clean mind. Go out there and slay the dragon. Something like that. And so this rambling, this constant shifting topics, or not knowing what I should say next, or saying too much at once, or like you notice it. Like if you're still listening, which you probably are like one of the, or maybe you're the only one still listening, because who is going to listen to this, right? Who of the 5 people that are actually watching my video are going to make it this far? Like, if you made it this far, congratulations, you have officially made it past getting annoyed by my ADHD antics, right? Just rambling some random stuff. Also, English is not my first language, so it's always like a little bit difficult translating in my mind what I actually want to say, coming up with the right words, with the right phrasing. Yeah, but I think I'm doing quite well. And maybe that's the simplest explanation for my drawings. It's just ADHD, bro. It's just my mind coming up with some random stuff when I don't have anything real to do. That sounds about right. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just kind of messy this time. I'm sorry, but I don't mind. This is just my YouTube channel. These are my videos, my art, my just the way I am. I'm not trying to do it perfect like I used to do. I used to try to control everything that I say, write like detailed scripts of everything, and give you like a like a real step-by-step approach to everything, and I think it's just not worth it. I think I'd just rather be myself, and this is my messy, real self. And if you made it this far, congratulations. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I hope I see you around on the channel, okay? Take care, and bye-bye.